1 year ago, I created a near self-sustaining ecosystem. It is now a lush underwater jungle, teeming with microscopic life. How did it survive this long, and what does the future hold? To answer this question, we need to go back to the beginning. A year ago, I wasn't thinking of a 1-year evolution update, but something has made this build stand the test of time. Here it is, where we left off in the original video, looking hopeful, but still a bit empty compared to now. There are many factors that decide the longevity of a build like this, and it starts with a nutrient-rich substrate base, aqua soil in this case. Then there are the plants, the most crucial part of any ecosystem build, as they are the filter. A combination of immersed, floating and immersed plants is a good way to make sure there are enough to make it work. We also need to mention the microfauna, who feed on detritus, algae and even live plants. What they eat becomes fertilizer for all the plants to absorb and grow stronger, and that completes the cycle. Back to present day, and a little walkthrough of how everything is doing, starting from the top. Doesn't this just look completely wild? I love it. The grass and the baby steers are still alive, but on as green as lush as before. The duckweed and the frog bits are ever growing, but the red root floaters died off early on, unfortunately. All of the immersed plants have grown a lot over the past year, and the Liliopsis grass especially has carpeted the entire bottom. The epiphytic Bucephalandra is less visible now, but still healthy and even larger than before. The color it adds to the scape is such a nice look. Overall, it looks completely naturalistic, which only happens to a healthy tank. Remember this guy? Hingle McCringleberry, the elephant snail? I kept finding him on the kitchen table, so we quickly had to move back to his old tank where he lived out the rest of his life in peace. R.I.P. big guy. Speaking of the microfauna, many creatures are still there en masse, but I don't see a lot of snails anymore, although I know they're still there. The microscopic creatures really seem to be thriving still after all this time, which is nice to see. They're mostly seen on the glass, feeding on algae invisible to you and me. Now, to the most important question. How much have I intervened to keep this ecosystem healthy? The answer is mostly that I haven't. For a full year, I didn't do any water changes and only topped up the water lost to evaporation. If needed, I've pulled out some excess algae and floaters. Apart from that, I let it do its thing. That is, until this happened. I had kept it in a direct sunlight window over winter and spring, and wasn't fast enough to move it out of the sun as summer hit with full force. This resulted in a massive algae outbreak, and for the first time, I knew I had to step in for real. I started by removing as much of the dark green swamp sludge as I could by hand. Then I proceeded to manually siphon the water out. It did not taste good, I can tell you that. I then began trimming down plants and removing overgrowth to make room for some new plants for variation. None of this moss would be thrown away. Instead, I put it in other terrariums to continue to grow. It quickly adds up. I'm sure you know if you keep tanks yourself. As I am confident the Liliopsis will carpet the bottom once again, I remove a lot of that too. I really think it's nice to see how well it's done over time. Beforehand, this plant wasn't a given success at all. The grass, which upon some research I think is Carex brunea dark green, needs a huge trim to get rid of the dead stuff. There's something oddly satisfying with a messy table after some plant maintenance. Don't you think so too? Some old superglue that came off the old hardscape was also removed. After trimming the plants, I removed some of the rocks as well, and I'll show you why right now. I put them on a paper towel and wiped off some of the water. Then I took some Anubias non-appetite, an epiphytic plant just like the Bucephalandra, and glued them onto the rocks. To do this safely, all you need is normal superglue, as long as you let it cure before putting it in the water. The glue is harmless to the plants as long as you don't cover all of the roots. You can also attach them using sewing thread, but I prefer this method. When the glue had cured, they looked like this, and the rocks were ready to be placed back into the bowl. I didn't care too much about placement when I put them back in the water, but I knew I wanted most of them in the back of the tank. I mean, come on, the greens are just incredible in Anubias. At least I think so. The dark spots on the leaves are algae, but I'll leave the removal of that to the animals inside. The next new plant needs substrate to grow. This is Cryptocorina, or Crypts for short. I spread them around the substrate, hoping the reddish color will complement the green of the Liliopsis as time goes by. Having a good mix of colors, although subtle, can make a huge difference in any build. This plant can outgrow a small scape like this, so I might need to do some extra trimming going forward, but we'll see. Crypts can also suffer an initial melt-off when planted in a new scape, so we'll see what happens. This Hydrocotyle will hopefully be a perfect transition plant between the water and land portions, as it can grow immersed too. They also put out tiny white flowers, as you can see in the middle of the screen here. I think it's a lovely addition. The plant I'm harvesting from has actually grown immersed since I got it too, but it shouldn't have a problem adapting to life underwater. This one I placed towards the back as well, but in a visible spot, because I really want to see it all the time. I took out this Bucephalandra as I was doing maintenance, and it needs something to grow on again. This time a stick will do great. I used the superglue method once again, as it really worked the first time. The brownish red on this plant will look great as I put it back into the water again. What do you think is the best plant addition so far? Leave a comment below. There we go. Looks perfect, and the shimmer of the lights too, don't you think? I haven't cleaned the glass rim in a year, so maybe it's time for it to look nice again. Seeing as I took the original water for the first build from this tank, it seems only fitting to do the same again. No shrimp were harmed in the collecting of this water. This water will also add some new microfauna to the scape. As you can see as I pour the water in, there's a lot of debris moving around still. I also figured the immersed spiderwood looked bare, so I added a creeping fig. On the Anubias I noticed something. Snail eggs. Let's see if they make it to live happily in our ecosystem once they hatch. I really think so. I gotta say, I love how it looks after a year and a trim, and the new plants will be a fun addition to the scape as well. As the Hydrocotyle grows out of the tank, it will add another dimension to the look of the scape. From tiny air bubbles encapsulated by algae to a never-ending amount of mini-organisms fighting for their own piece of real estate, this simple Walstad aquarium bowl has been so much fun to follow. What would you do if you made one yourself? Comment if you have any great tips for others to use for their builds. My goal with this channel is to inspire others to just try to make something of their own, and some of you have actually reached out and said you want to get started. I think this is so great. So, which era of this build is your favorite? Is it the original scape, the 1 year untouched scape, or the new pruned and freshly planted one? Did I make a mistake not leaving it for longer, or is variation key for an interesting video? Also, where do you think this bowl will be in another year? Dead or still thriving? As always, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, comment and like the video. That would really help me out a lot. You'll find the original build linked in the end screen. Have a look at that one and don't miss my next video. Thank you.